Ready to go. Okay, so this is the regular Monroe Planning Commission meeting for Monday, January 8th, 2024. It's 7 p.m. and I'll ask Hannah to call the meeting to order. Her, take roll, please.
Commissioners present and establishing a quorum. We have Commissioners Bull, Blair, Dawkins, Lockhart, Lowe, and Catrino. Oh, and Commissioner Nugent has just joined us.
Welcome, Liz, and welcome our new commissioners. Thanks everyone for joining. At this time, we have set aside time for public comments. This is a time for people to speak to the Planning Commission in person on issues related to the City of Monroe, except those issues subject to a public hearing. When invited to speak, please approach the podium and state your name and association with the city or area of residence. The timer will then be started. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. And seeing that we have no one in person, I will mention that oral public comment is limited to in-person comment only. Written comments can be emailed to Maynard@monroe.gov and must be received by 4 p.m. the day of the meeting for advanced distribution Planning Commission. Written comments received at the council meeting will be distributed to the council at the council meeting. Further, the Planning Commission rules of procedure, written public comments will not be read into the record. Okay. We will move on to approval of minutes. Are there any edits or changes to be made to the minutes from our last meeting of December 11th? Someone like to move for approval?
I'll move for approval.
Thanks, Kelsey. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Thanks, Brandy. Commissioners in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes, Hannah. Next item up for business is in our old business section. Anita has brought the Shoreline Master Program periodic update to us.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, Planning Commissioners, and welcome to the new Planning Commissioners. For those that don't know me, my name is Anita Marrero. I'm the Senior Planner at Monroe. I'm here to bring back the Shoreline Master Program amendments to adopt findings of fact and conclusions of law. The public hearing for this was held at our last Planning Commission meeting, which was on December 11th, 2023. At that meeting, the public hearing was closed and the Planning Commission moved to direct staff to draft findings of fact and conclusions of law, recommending that the Monroe City Council approve the proposed Shoreline Master Program amendments. So for tonight's recommended action or requested action, move that the Planning Commission adopt these findings of fact and conclusions of law to authorize the chair of the Planning Commission to sign the findings on behalf of the Commission. Recommend that the Monroe City Council propose Shoreline Master Program amendments identified by file number CPA 2023-04. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, but this is pretty straightforward since at our last meeting, the Planning Commission approved.
Thanks, Anita. I see a question from Melanie.
It's not a question, it's a motion. So if anybody's got questions, those should go first.
Thanks for the clarification. No one is speaking up.
Okay, I move that the Planning Commission adopt these findings of fact and conclusions of law, authorize the chair of the Planning Commission to sign the findings of fact on behalf of the Commission, and recommend that the Monroe City Council approve the proposed Shoreline Master Program amendments identified by file number CPA 2023-04.
I second it.
Second from Randy. Commissioners in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Thanks, Anita. Okay. On to new business. We have elections. It's first meeting of every year. We do elections.
Pretty straightforward. Well, we will elect the new chair. So if anyone has a proposed chair that they would like to put forward, you just move to elect the name of whoever you'd like as the chair for the 2024 Planning Commission. And then we would vote on it. And then we would move on to vice chair in the same way.
Melanie has you have a nomination, Melanie?
Yes, I nominate Jay Bowl to be chair, Planning Commission.
Thank you.
I second that.
Okay. Whoa. Any other?
Nominations for chair? All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all.
That was a peaceful, we didn't have to have a peaceful.
No mudslinging on that one.
Is there any, can you keep continuing, or can you only do so many?
There is a term limit. I think it is a 3-term limit for planning commissioners, so you can't serve longer than 12 years.
I mean, as being chair.
No, I don't.
There's not a.
I don't, just curious.
There's no rotation.
Lucky for us.
Rotation. Where I was before, everybody had a chance by seniority to be chair.
It's all by election, so, you know, there's, we don't have a formal process where it occurs based on seniority.
I'd like to make nomination for vice chair for Melanie Lockhart.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Kelsey. Any other nominations? All in favor of Melanie, please say aye for vice chair.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, congratulations, Melanie.
You guys do a good job.
Yeah, congratulations to you both. Good work.
Next item in new business is my favorite part. Hannah, you have community development. This is from November. Yeah,
It is, yes. Since we didn't have our last meeting in December, we are looking at the November Community Development Staff Report. So give me just a moment.
maybe not my very favorite part, but this is one of the more interesting.
This is fun for you.
It is. I'd like to know what's going on.
All this stuff going on.
You're a bit of a gossip, Jay. Okay. So, starting from the top, we had 4 pre-application meetings in the month of November. One was for 3 accessory dwelling units on 3 separate properties with Bob Bacon. Another was a proposal to build 7 new cabins under 400 square foot each. That would be over in the tourist commercial zoning district. Another was for Shielded Grounds Coffee at 123 North Blakely Street. That's a proposal to use the space as a coffee shop, tabletop gaming space, and event space. And another is for Haveli Indian Cuisine. That is a restaurant tenant improvement proposal to include all new plumbing, mechanical, and electric. That is at 19636 State Route 2.
And Hannah, was that a restaurant / convenience store or just restaurant?
Just restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's different than I think it's Spice Fusion, I believe, is I can't remember the name of the convenience store slash takeout restaurant that we've brought pre-application meetings to before.
Yeah.
But they're currently moving forward with their tenant improvement applications right now. So yeah, they're moving right along.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What is the definition of a cabin? Are they going to be for?
It would be short-term
Short-term
rentals.
rentals?
Mhm, short-term rentals. They would not have full kitchens in them. They would have kitchenettes rather. So they wouldn't have, like stoves, any of that. It would just have like a small mini fridge, that kind of thing. And there would be one, full-time caretaker cabin on the property. So it would be, yeah, by the airport
It's just,
property.
yeah, just up above the property where the airport is.
Mhm.
Also, that coffee restaurant coming in across from the post office?
Yep.
That use was there before, there was that type of use there before, so they're just gonna remodel and reopen.
That's the goal. I wasn't there for that pre-application meeting, so I don't know what the comments were for that one exactly. Yeah.
They're wanting to do it as a more of a gathering space, so like the tabletop gaming and potential for event space as well.
Big enough.
Mhm.
Pretty big.
It is a pretty large space, yeah.
My concern would be about the park.
Moving down a little bit, our project highlight is the Woods Creek Highlands. The final inspections for the homes up in the Woods Creek Highlands plat and planned residential development have been completed. So this plat PRD was initially applied for as a preliminary plat back in 2018, with final plat approval being granted in 2022. Construction on the homes began with 4 model homes in early 2022. So you can see some concept art and the final plat map. On the highlights for the building permits, we're down in both the single families and the commercial TIs from 9 for each in October. We're down to 2 single families in November and 5 commercial TIs in November. No real big changes in the current projects page. The biggest thing that you'll probably notice is the Riverside Station project is no longer listed under site plan review. That is the 3-story mixed-use project, the POPA project there on Ann Street. That's where the existing twin buck houses is. They've been granted site plan approval, and they're currently in for their building permits for that project. Like I said, we're down a little bit on our single family issued from October, but we are up in our inspections conducted. A quick update for our building division. We are about to be a little short-staffed. One of our building permit techs put in her 2-week notice. She's no longer with the city of Monroe, and I'm very sad about it. I miss her a lot. And our building inspector has accepted a job out of state. Yep. So our current building permit tech, Gloriana, is doing a really great job covering things. We're also outsourcing some of our over-the-counter building permits with our consultant firm. So we're really grateful for Gloriana and grateful for our plans examiner, Ted, who's filling in for some of the building inspections until we get our building inspector role filled.
And we currently have, the initial closing period has closed for the building inspector job. And we got a fair number of applications, so we're gonna probably start doing interviews maybe next week. So we hope to get somebody in there
ASAP.
soon. Yeah, I did want to make a comment about the, somewhat of a seasonal downturn in the permits, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that there's projects that are finishing up, which is why we have so many inspections. But with the building code, the new building code being adopted in March 15th, we're gonna likely get a lot of applications that are some building permit applications that are submitted, maybe 100 even for projects that are getting ready to start up. So it's gonna change dramatically.
So in the next 2 months?
Yeah, in the next 2 months, because everybody, those who can get the building permits submitted prior to the March 15th adoption date or implementation date for the new building code, will be under that new code. So there'll be, it's like this every time when we adopt a new code, there's kind of a rush to get those permits in. So
Really hoping we get a new building permit tech on board before then.
and a building inspector, so
And a
yes.
building
So
inspector, yeah.
it's,
So does Monroe just have one building inspector?
yeah.
Yeah. And for code enforcement, it was a quieter month for cases resolved, not too many cases opened in November. Political campaign signs, it was a success in getting them cleaned up at the end of campaign season. So thank you, Kevin, for your hard work on that. Business licenses, there were 60 new business license applications and 106 business license renewals in November. These are the new business applications for brick and mortar businesses here in Monroe. Let me know if you have any questions about them.
Question.
Yeah.
Abandoned vehicles, is that a code enforcement issue or a police issue? Abandoned vehicles.
It's code enforcement that's done by the police. So they handle those because you'd be amazed at how complicated it gets with having to deal with cars, the titles, you have to go through a legal process to make sure that there's no title or who the title's for, and so the police handle that.
I had one comment I wanted to make. I know we're proud of the new businesses, and I just wanted to state something about a 50-year business, Pharmacy in Monroe, that just closed. It was during the month of December, not November, but I think it's worthwhile to think about that when we're also talking about new businesses. And that one, being that it's such a long time business, I think we should reflect on a little bit on why that occurred as well, because it did have something to do with the growth. The Providence got moved, the medical center moved away from where they had relocated their business, and they didn't have the same numbers of business. I'm sure there's more to it than that, but from a planning standpoint, that does have some significance to us actually accidentally changing people's livelihoods. So I wanted to mention that.
Thanks, Brandy. All right, scrolling on down. No real updates in the comprehensive plan section besides the public hearing for the Shoreline Master Program being listed in the comp plan amendment section. No updates in the annexation sections unless Kate or Lance would like to weigh in on any updates with annexations right now.
Anything to add?
I was just gonna say, this is Kate Turtlow. I'm the planning manager. There are updates on the North 41. It has been officially not repealed. They withdrew their application. We are expecting a revised application has come in. It is a 60% petition. So the first step will be going to council with the 10%. That's 10% of the property owners with assessed value. During that time, there will be also a discussion about taxation for that area coming in. So this annexations do not come to Planning Commission, but we do want to keep you revised of how they're proceeding.
So kind of an update on North 41. Well, definitely an update on North 41. Yep. So that is the November department report. Any questions?
Thanks, Hannah.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Good job. Okay. We'll move on to discussion by commissioners and staff. Start with our online folks. Start with Melanie, if we could.
Yeah, just happy new year. Welcome to our 2 new commissioners. I'm looking forward to serving with you both. And it's good to be back for another term myself. This will be, my last term was partial, so this will be my first full term, so I'm excited. Other than that, stay warm this week. It's supposed to maybe possibly, you never know, snow at the end of the week, and then it looks like it will be cold no matter what. So stay warm this week. That's it for me right now.
Thank you. Anita?
I don't have much to report. You all probably know that IHOP is supposed to open on the 23rd. And then I heard that the new Indian restaurant on Main Street is delicious. So you should try it.
That's great. Kate?
I have a couple of items. First off, your next meeting, I will be bringing your program of work for 2024. It will include a more detailed schedule for all of the comprehensive plan review by chapter. We had a meeting this morning or this afternoon with our consultant team. So you'll get a lot more detail at your next meeting. I also wanted to let you know we are required by state law to update our critical areas ordinance by the end of this year. So that's another project that will be coming to you. We also will be amending our accessory dwelling unit regulations. Amy Bright will be the lead on that project, and we are confident that will also be completed by the end of 2024. Anita will be coming back with a multifamily tax exemption program discussion. And I think that is it for now. It's going to be a really busy year, and I'm just going to put out there that you may be asked to attend additional meetings closer to, I would say, in the fall. So I'm very excited for this year. We're going to get it done. And I'm happy to answer any questions that come up, or if you want to, yeah, I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Liz?
Good evening and to the staff for all their work tonight. I realize it was kind of a lighter schedule tonight, but I'll appreciate that sometimes, especially going into this new year of very busy schedule. Want to welcome the new commissioners. Thanks for helping us out and being part of this, what we do for the city. It's really great. But that's all I've got. I think everybody else pretty well covered, staying warm. Still trying to get to the Indian place. We keep trying and our DoorDash got canceled. So it's still trying. So thanks everybody.
Thanks, Liz. Kelsey?
Just want to say thanks to staff and Kate, quick healing for you. I think that's all I have.
Carla?
I guess just, thank you for welcoming me. I look forward to participating and getting up to speed and learning what we're doing. So thank you.
Should be a pretty short round. If Kate is right, we'll have plenty of meetings to get going. It'll be a pretty exciting year.
And not to put folks on the spot, and we should, for future reference, we should, I think, put this at the beginning of agenda when we got new folks, but I was wondering if you could take just a couple moments to kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to the Planning Commission and anything else you want to share.
Okay. I'm married to my husband for 31 years. He is also the chief of police in Redmond. So we moved here to Washington in 2019 for that job that he got. So that's what brought us to Washington. Since we've been here looking for a place to buy a house and be, finally became Monroe. So that's what brought me to Monroe. Prior to moving to Washington, I was from Simi Valley, California, and there I was very, very involved in all different parts of the city. Did a lot of different stuff. I was on a lot of different boards and kind of started off that whole process of being on a bond oversight committee. So, and it was not planning, but a lot of planning stuff was involved with that. And it was very eye-opening and was very interesting. And then I was very involved in PTA, and then from there I just kind of went into different areas of the city and got involved in a lot of different things. And I've taken the time, I was probably involved in too much, actually. And so when I moved up here, I was like, oh, I can breathe again. I kind of created that. Okay, it's been a while now. I need to get involved again. So I don't know why I picked the planning commission. It sounded interesting, sounded something that I really haven't done a lot of. I know bits and pieces more on the school side of planning stuff. So not the whole city comprehensive planning, but bits and pieces. So I just thought it would be really interesting, and that's why. But I would apply for it and see how it went. So yeah.
So welcome aboard.
Well, thank you.
Great, thanks. Randy?
I'm just gonna remind anyone who happens to listen to this meeting or is in the room, it's darker out now, and please watch out for pedestrians, and please be patient in traffic with each other. I've been noticing that not happening lately, and if we can continue to do that, I think it's part of what bonds our community is being nice to each other and looking out for each other. So we could do that with pedestrians and other drivers, so thanks.
Thanks, Brendan. Yeah. Also appreciate you mentioning PharmaSafe. That was my pharmacy.
Yep.
So I know pharmacy business is really tough. So I don't pretend to know all of the things that make the pharmacy business so tough, but hopefully it wasn't anything to do with anything that planning or zoning had to do with, Providence will be their facility. You have to have a hospital district. Unfortunately, Providence decided to move to another area. So, and I do know Providence put a pharmacy in their building, which doesn't help. But I do appreciate that you mentioned that, and that some of what we need to do is always think like 3 steps ahead. What could possibly happen to a 50-year-old business in town if these things, are implemented? Because, how many 50-year-old businesses do you have?
Not very many anymore.
So Geno's will sell you a 50-year sweatshirt.
Mhm.
Really not. So, so I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And I want to welcome Bob and Carla. I appreciate you guys. We've already said it a couple times, but getting to the comprehensive plan, it's going to be, fairly rigorous, and we like to have every member part of the discussion. We're not all going to agree on every aspect of it, but everybody gets in the discussion, and the end result is always better than if 5 of us make the decision instead of 7 of us. So we'll definitely encourage your participation, encourage your aspects from other areas, which how things have been done somewhere else could help us, with 20,000 folks. And so there's always things to be gathered from our new members as far as, hey, this is how it was done here and it worked, and see if we can sort of incorporate that into what we're doing to improve our process and systems. So appreciate your willingness to serve. Go ahead, Bob.
Thanks everybody for the warm welcome, and thank you to staff for the great onboarding that I've had so far, and I've always respected and actually depend on professional staff to keep us heading in the right direction. By profession, I'm a professional project manager, mostly in the IT and telecom space. So what you'll see, I'm very schedule, milestone driven. And I like to see things, and it's my own thing, based on the way that I was been trained professionally is to see things laid out in schedules and milestones. So we always know where we are at any given time. So that's how I keep track of things. My background in planning is, I come from California as well. I come from the Northern California area, East Bay, particularly city of Santa Rosa specifically. When I moved to San Ramon, it was about 20,000 people, about the size of, it's not that big anymore. It's up to about 85,000 now. And maybe some outside get together, we can discuss the history of how that happened. It wasn't always smooth, but we learned from it. Mistakes that were made, and things that were done wrong. So I spent 2 years in a public safety advisory committee, and 4 years in the Parks and Community Services Commission, and then 10 years on the planning commission. Chaired twice. Very, very, very interesting learning experience. So I come to this role with experience, a California experience, which is just slightly different than Washington, the way they approach planning. But zoning is zoning, and community involvement is community involvement. It's all the same. We just, and the lessons I've learned there, I hope to bring to the so, again, thank you for your warm welcome, and I look forward to working with all of you. And remember, IHOP opens January 23rd. For you pancake lovers.
But who's counting?
Nobody's counting.
Nobody's counting, nobody's brought it up. Or-
There's nothing wrong with having a meeting at IHOP.
Go ahead, Lance.
Well, I have been to the Indian restaurant, and it is as advertised. It's very good. And I was lucky enough to meet the owner who who did not know that I worked for the city, but had positive things to say about opening. And he was, it's been busy, he said, I didn't know what to expect, but they've been busier than expected. And they're asking for people's patience in terms of time, but it's worth it. So I would encourage anybody to go. And I don't know when they're going to have their official opening, but it is a welcome addition to the community, I'd say. Well, you mentioned IHOP, and I wanted to, just for everybody's sake, going back to actually the first item in the monthly report, because we always toss out this pre-application list. And just so everybody understands that the pre-application is as the name implies, it's when someone is looking to do something. It's not always a business opening, but they're building housing or what. So those don't always turn into applications. So that's the first step. So just because something shows up on that list doesn't necessarily mean that,
So
that they're going
the
to follow.
applicant comes to us and they get a list of what they need.
Yeah, they, just kind of
Guide
discuss
them
it
through the
conceptually.
process.
So they don't always have an application. So that it just, when we're careful when we're looking at that list. As Kate mentioned, we are working on the work plan for the planning commission, which is going to be comp plan, and a little bit more comp plan. But we're putting together the schedule for the sequence of comp plan elements that we'll be bringing to the planning commission. And we will be taking them to the planning commission early, so they'll be draft. And then we also take them to other boards, advisory boards, and in some cases, the subcommittees of the city council. And they will come back to the planning commission ultimately for a recommendation. So we're putting that schedule of meetings together. So in looking at it, I think there's going to be some months where we're going to do more than 2 meetings a month, but that was the case last time. And so it's not unexpected, but
It's always a big one.
Yes, it
Both for
is.
staff
It's,
and
2 years goes by very quickly. Half of it is gone, and that's a little scary.
what is the state mandate, have it completed by?
December of 2024.
That's this year.
That is this year. So, yeah, that's all I got.
That's it?
Yeah.
Thanks, Lance. Appreciate you being here. We're gonna jump in and let Liz speak before Hannah finishes this out.
I apologize. With mentioning of IHOP, I think that's high school thing. So high schoolers are very excited for IHOP opening on January 23rd. So just to warn you. All right.
Rudy Tooty, what's it called, Rudy Tooty.
Okay,
My turn?
your turn, Hannah.
I don't have anything besides, please wash your hands and cover your coughs because the cooties are going around right now.
Yep.
Take it from me. Tis the season.
Not the only one.
No. That's all I have.
Hot tip, hand sanitizer. Thank you.
Hand sanitizer and wash your hands.
Kate?
Yeah, I actually wish I had written this down. I know the Planning Commission, all boards and commissions are being invited. I want to say it's the January 28th council meeting. There will be an overview of the Public Open Records Act and some roles and responsibilities for the council, board, commission, opportunity to meet each other. I'll have Hannah follow up with that date if you did not already receive an invite.
Yeah, and with that training, it's going to be held by the city attorney. And if you need to refresh your 4-year mandated OPMA training, this would qualify for your OPMA training. So it's a double whammy.
Okay.
Yep.
That's great.
The 28th is a Sunday, does that seem right?
I'll double check the date and I'll send you guys information on the meeting. Thank you, Kate. I totally spaced on that.
That's a good question.
We'll be doing all meetings on Sundays from now on.
Do not, Lance. That's not funny.
I'm out.
Middle of football season. Yeah.
Go
Question.
ahead, Bob.
And I apologize, I don't want to make it sound like I'm saying to do things like we did in California. However, there's one thing we did do that I really think helped our city, the San Ramon, is that we had members of the Planning Commission as liaisons to the other boards and commissions that the city had. So we had a liaison to the Parks Board, we had a liaison, and we also had architectural review, transportation, housing, open space, that kind of stuff. And we had planning commissioners would go to those meetings and not participate, but represent the planning commission at those meetings. And in some cases, it made a really great transitional planning for us, because we got perspective from, because even in the comprehensive plan of the Department of Element, there's open space, all these things that are relative to us. So if we don't have that, is that something that we could talk about?
Well, tell me how to answer that. The bylaws of each of the boards and commissions are set up the roles, and the city has not done it that way. None of the cities that I've worked in Washington had done that. So we have staff that's liaison to all of those. And one of the roles that we're expected to do as staff is to be able to bring things from those groups to the Planning Commission. And, the Planning Commission is not necessarily, the decision-making for the Planning Commission is recommendations to City Council. And the same thing with like the Parks Board would have a recommendation, so it wouldn't necessarily go through the Planning Commission. So not everything that those boards are involved in would be anything that the planning commission would have really any decision or recommendation for.
The other reason, I'm also a member of the county's Human Rights Commission. And so I've been involved with our housing, community housing board. And so I go to those meetings because it kind of dovetails what I'm doing in the county. That's what I'm mentioning.
No, when I first started planning, they did have something similar to that because there was a female that was the Parks Board liaison, and then every time we'd have a meeting, she would give an update for parks. And then I tried to take that over, and then by the time they had a new group and they didn't know why I was there. And so I kind of stopped going because of that.
We used to have, in the planning commission rules and procedures, we used to have it listed, that we had a, Parks Board liaison,
Yeah.
and that was changed.
But that doesn't prevent members from the planning commission to attend any of the commissions or city council meetings.
Mhm. And if anything, we, have joint meetings if we're
Yes, that's a
working
good
on
idea.
something that, would affect, the pros plan, parks, recreation, open space, trails, those aspects of
It's
it.
very relevant to what we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kate, could you jump in for us?
Actually, it wasn't for this conversation. It's January 30th. I found the email, so we'll make sure it gets forwarded to you. The other thing I did want to let you know on the boards and commissions, the city has taken the stance that one person cannot be sitting on two boards. So it would be a conversation we would probably need to have with our city administrator as well as the mayor. That might have been why a change was made. And unfortunately, it was before my time, so I don't have any history for these changes, but we're more than happy to have the conversation if the board thinks it's important. And again, you are always welcome as a citizen. As a citizen, you are allowed to participate in any of them, but I would be a little bit cautious if you're attending as a planning commissioner representative. I just want to make sure that we have buy-off by city administration before we give you the go ahead on that type of participation.
We weren't voting members. We weren't even, as liaisons, we didn't even participate in discussions unless we were asked from our, what the perspective of planning would be. So we were just basically observers, passive observers, there to lend our expertise if they had questions, or even better, if they had input to the planning commission about what they were working on. So it wasn't participative, it wasn't a vote, you didn't vote. Sometimes you didn't say anything, you just had to listen.
Okay. Anyone care to move for adjournment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thanks. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you all.
Yeah, which speaker is it? Because it's not coming out of
I'm
this
so
thing, is it
sorry if
over
it's
there?
loud, you guys.
It's just kind of like not clear. It's kind of jumbled.